Everybody ready? It's 6:01 and we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everybody for coming this evening. Just a quick reminder that these are the board's business meetings held in public, but they're not public meetings. They're governed by Idaho Code 7433, Chapter 5, and IDAPA, the Idaho Administrative Rules. I will entertain, one other thing, that the chair is out of town, so she's joining us via laptop, but I will go ahead and execute the meeting. So I'll need an approval for the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Do we have any announcements? I don't have any. No announcements, all right. So we will go ahead and begin with the trust presentation with Athol Elementary. Right
your words
here.
and everything are right here.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, thank you, members of the board, for inviting us, me specifically, and our students and their families to celebrate the Trust Award. We were fortunate enough to be able to do January month, and every month we are celebrating students at Athol Elementary. We not only work really hard on reading, writing, and math, but everything kind of umbrellas under that trust mantra and our 7 habits that we are working on across the school, teaching our students to be just good leaders. And so these students were specifically honored under that umbrella for being able to put first things first. So that's something that we talk about during the month of December, and talk about how important it is to work first, then play. Those kind of just life skills that we want kids to remember. And that's a common language throughout our building. And so it does build trust amongst our students and staff, and then also carries out into the academic portion of our instructional day. So excited to have so many people here today to celebrate with us, and so many teachers. Thank you for being here. I will get started without further ado to introduce our students who received this award. And so when I call your name, if you could come up, you're also getting a sweet treat, which I know some of them are very excited to get to come to Rathdrum for a stop at McDonald's before they came here. So always a fun time. All right, again, congratulations to all of you. Thank you, parents, for raising great kids and sharing them with us. We'll start with our kindergartners. Lily Brown is honored for always being kind to her peers and focused on the task at hand. She makes sure she always gets her work done before playing and asks for help when she needs it. Lily Brown. And then we have I gotta grab my glasses. That's gonna be a mess. Usually they're on my head, but. Sawyer Robilliard, she gets to school every day with a smile and positivity. She brings kindness to her classroom. Through her calm and patient nature, she comes ready to work and asks questions and gives her best effort. Sawyer. Next we have Logan Neal. Logan is organized, gets his work done without being asked. He helps others when he finishes early. He's kind and helpful. Come on up. Kaylee Howe received this award due to the discipline that her teacher sees in her. She puts forth effort in everything she does, works hard, and stays on task. She gives Heil is a student who always looks out for others. She's always lending a helping hand, has a positive attitude even through challenges. She's a pleasure to have in class, her teacher said. Cameron Landers, he is great at putting first things first. He always makes sure his work is done first before he plays, shows responsibility, and makes great choices. Rayleigh Howe runs in the family, is an excellent example of putting first things first. She works hard every day. She stays focused on what she wants, gets her assignments done, and shows responsibility. Beckham Please is consistently demonstrating strong responsibility and self-management, stays on top of his work, frequently asks for additional tasks when appropriate. He's dependable and accountable. Amelia Neal, incredibly hard worker, always does her best work and helps others do theirs. Always helping others includes everyone. Barrett Elsis always chooses to get the hard work done first before moving on to something that might be more fun. Abby Bernhardt is a leader. She always puts work before play. She gives her best effort. Abby's also excellent when it comes to helping neighbors. Gabby Rinaldi, she's a hard worker and always puts first things first. She prioritizes her responsibility, manages her responsibilities and her time well. And I think she managed her time at basketball instead of here. Yeah, she was struggling with that today when I talked to her. Matthew Gabrielson has shown amazing leadership in the way he prepares for class and is helpful during recess and classroom cleanup. He's an excellent example of trust and putting first things first. All right. Thank you again for letting us enjoy your students and children with us. And thanks teachers for being here too and showing up. So thank you. Congratulations.
If you want to stay for the board meeting, you can. But if you don't, this is where you can exit. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Enjoy those Sundays.
That makes Dad get Sundays.
Good job.
To see you. Just the other day she was putting it in her hand.
Good job. You did a great job.
Can't believe they didn't stay.
I know.
It's me. It's me.
They all jumped and jammed.
Yeah.
Can I just sneak out table?
No, we've got you cornered.
Yeah, I didn't see
Jeff,
that.
don't let him go.
Both ways, yeah.
She knows where the door is right there.
You're true. Good call,
Block
Jeff.
that.
Yeah.
She told me.
True.
Well done. Thank you, Captain. And thank you all for waiting for the presentations to be completed. I appreciate it. And for being here.
All right, are we good to continue? Do we have anybody else joining us, or is that everyone that was waiting?
That was everybody that was up.
Okay, we will move into public input. I have a letter that was sent to share with the board. I don't know if they emailed the letter also. And then we have a couple who have signed up to speak. And the first one is Anita Dupsik.
Jessica, a lot of friends.
They just bring the whole firm?
Pretty much.
Okay, Anita Dupsik for public input.
Anita Dupsik, community member. It's interesting that your trust awards were for Athol. I work with a nonprofit that supports law enforcement, and in November we had a reading out at Athol, and it was second graders, and I have to tell you, I was so impressed. I came out of elementary education, and to see, I think it was 3 or 4 classrooms of, I think there were second graders sitting in that auditorium. They were engaged. The principal was engaged with the reader, with picking raffle tickets for the kids, and just, you know, just keeping her eye on the kids. And it is a compliment to you guys for the principal you have out there. Kathy Thomas was amazing. And you have teachers that are doing the right thing, because that's where classroom management comes from, and it showed in those kids. And I just wanted to compliment you. And
Thank you.
yes, for the amazing group of kids you have
And
out there.
Anita donated a couple books to our library, so thank you.
Anita, thank you so much. That was so nice.
Okay, Susie Stranahan.
Hello, my name is Susie Stranahan. I would like to take just a couple minutes to address my concerns about the policy you are considering changing. This is the Equal Education, Non-Discrimination, Sex Equality Policy. The adaptations to this policy is actually alarming because it targets certain groups of students, which could lead to discrimination instead of protecting them. This is a non-discrimination policy. The wording sets the stage for actual discrimination. It's quite ironic. We all know that in order for students to do well in school, they need to feel safe and supported. Every student deserves to have an education where they feel they belong. When they don't, they are marginalized, and this can have lasting negative effects and hurt their education and futures. I urge you not to change this policy in a way that marginalizes and discriminates against certain students. These are private and personal beliefs that might not align with yours. However, these students deserve the same level of education as the next. We should protect them and not harm them. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Suzanne Gallus.
My name is Suzanne Gallus, and I'm a parent to 7 former, current, and future Lakeland kiddos, and president of Friends of Lakeland Schools. We have a thank you letter to former trustee Bob Jones from the community from the December meeting that got canceled, so I'd like to enter it into the minutes, and I'll hand it to the clerk. Secondly, I'd like to speak about the proposed changes to Policy 3280, Equal Education, Non-Discrimination, and Sex Equity, that are up for discussion tonight. We are a public school district where children of diverse sexual orientations and identities do exist. You do not have to agree with the differences, but it is the mission of public schools to educate and protect all students, not just certain kids. I heard from a high school staff member that they have at least 8 students every year who confide in them and express their fear of being bullied because of their differences. Students cry to the staff member with broken hearts, explaining the cruel words spoken to them by their peers. By striking out the words gender identity and sexual orientation in this policy 3280, Lakeland is choosing to exclude students from protection against discrimination, bullying, and exclusion of equal opportunity. As trustees entrusted with children's safety day after day, you are responsible to protect all children. Excluding certain types of kids is not in the best interest of all students and is not in the best interest of the district nor of our community. That is not who we are at Lakeland. I have a resource list of evidence-based research from various institutions like the CDC, the National Institute of Health, American Medical Association, and the Fenway Institute, along with a link which is a survey of LGBT youth. If you are not familiar with this research, please spend some time reading. The overwhelming evidence from both research and the children themselves shows that protecting these kids from discrimination produces more favorable health outcomes and student success for all students, for both gender diverse kids as well as better outcomes for straight kids, which has been and should continue to be our goal as a district. Over the past 3 decades, advances in medical research have dramatically expanded our understanding of the brain, the body, mental health, sexual orientation, gender, and so much more. This growing body of knowledge gives us powerful tools to help children and communities understand differences in behavior, learning, and health, and to respond with understanding rather than judgment. This is your job as trustees, to recognize what helps all kids and make decisions and policy based on what's best for all kids. Please engage in meaningful evidence-based discussion tonight, and when these proposed changes are up for approval, please do not approve the current proposed changes to policy 3280.
Okay, I don't show anybody else. Was there anybody else who signed up for public input and did not speak? Okay, we will go ahead and move on to reports. The first is the superintendent report. Do we have any questions or comment, clarification? And because our agenda's so long, I'm gonna try and get through it, so.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't, make sure I don't miss anybody. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the assistant superintendent's report. About the financial report. Oh, and the chair will say something to you if she has a question, correct? So, all right, so we'll move on to the financial report. Any questions, clarifications, and then the facilities report?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Alrighty, on to the consent agenda. We have subcommittee meeting minutes, previous board meeting minutes, HR memo, resignation and retirements.
I do have one comment on the minutes to the previous meeting.
Okay, yep.
For the January 7th meeting. I do not believe that Chair Thompson self-nominated. I believe that Ramona, or Vice Chair Grissom, had nominated her. So if we could make that correction.
Any other corrections or?
And actually, the first nomination on both of those, I nominated myself first, because it says first nomination, second nomination. I don't know that that truly matters, but that those are backwards.
That's correct. Yep.
Yep.
I had a question, but I don't know who would be able to answer it. It was just a question about the facilities and transportation, it was like a copy paste of the same verbiage, but we'll have to bring that up later. All right, any more on the minutes for January 7?
That's all I had.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other discussion? Okay. And what about the subcommittee meetings. Does anybody have any comment, questions? Okay.
Olivia,
Yeah.
the long-range planning committee agenda is not minutes, and I've asked several times, but I know I asked at the last meeting to please have minutes provided, not the agenda.
The minutes, Chairman Thompson, are on the second page.
I felt.
Chairman Thompson, those minutes are on the second page. Or is it second or third page? Third page. Yeah, I
Well,
just,
so that we don't have the community have to hunt and search and figure out what the minutes are, if we can just draft minutes and submit those, that would be ideal.
that's fine. You guys said minutes, and we usually include it on the third page, so yes, ma'am, I can make that adjustment.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes?
All right. So I was going to read through, but it looks like we have a lot here, so I'm going to back up. I was hoping to approve the consent agenda in one, but I'll entertain a motion for the minutes of the previous meeting for January 7.
I will move to approve with the changes as noted.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And the same with those. Are any more input or corrections or questions about the minutes of the subcommittee meeting? The H2 item? Okay, now I'll entertain a motion for those minutes.
I will move to approve with the correction requested by Chair Thompson.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None, the motion carries.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, and the HR items, are there any questions regarding the HR items, the memo, resignation, retirements?
When we have I do have one quick question. When we have an employee that's transferring from one department to another, do we not include their applications? I guess I hadn't noticed that before.
No, we don't include their applications because we had discussed this in the past. If they're already a current employee, you've already seen their applications and their resumes in the past.
Not if they've been here for a long time. We didn't used to see their applications.
Yeah, so is that what you want me to do now going forward, is
I don't-
include absolutely everybody?
I would understand if they were doing, like, if they're a teacher at one school and we're moving them to another school, to
Right.
not include those.
Right.
I don't know, I guess, let's leave it as is for now, and I'll think about it and bring it up
Okay.
next time if that's.
All right, sounds
okay.
good.
I think part of the concern, if I can add a little bit to that, is that if you have somebody moving from, say, a secretarial position to a finance position,
Right.
or, something like that. I think that's what it is that, because I know we've had this discussion before, just seeing,
If they
are
have
they
that-
What that
qualified?
qualification
Yeah.
If they have that
is.
experience.
Right.
Yeah. If you don't mind, if it's a total job change, then I think we can accommodate that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I think that's
Okay,
only.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will move to approve the HR items as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And the bill list, do we have any questions about the bill list the way it is? No comment, no discussion. How about the bill breakout?
I do not have any questions.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to, go ahead.
Do we have an actual list of all of the three-letter acronyms in the two-letter acronyms
Yes,
that are used.
we
Can I get
we
that?
do, yes. We'll make sure to get trustee the, there used to be a link inside a board book. I'm not sure it's there.
Oh, okay,
But yeah, we'll make sure you get that.
thank you.
Yep. Okay, I will entertain a motion for the bills.
Move to approve bills list.
A second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Was your motion, I'm sorry, also for the bills breakout? Because I did just say bills for both
Yeah, I
items.
think, yeah. it's-
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so on to utilities. Is there any discussion on the utilities as presented? None?
Let's see.
Anybody? No? Okay, so did Chair have, no, okay. I will entertain a motion on the utilities.
Move to approve utilities.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, now on to action items. We have CMGC RFQ for CM services. Yeah,
That was my fault.
speaking of acronyms.
Jessica Grantham, Chief Finance Officer. In December, we did advertise for CM services, so construction manager services related to our school modernization funds projects. As a reminder for everybody, those projects are the $20 million in funds that we receive from the state for maintenance of our buildings, and just a reminder that that is capital items that last greater than 7 years. So it's a little bit more stringent than, say, a plant facility levy where we can do anything that's greater than a year. This is more of those big capital items. The board did approve a budget for those back in June at our budget hearing, and so we're working diligently on those projects. The CMGC model is a great model for the scope of the projects that are being done. I've kind of outlined it a little bit in the informational summary, and then again when we provided information back in December about this. We did have quite a few firms respond. I gave you copies electronically of all the responses we received. In a rubric, we had myself, Chelsea, Tim, and then our operations supervisor, Adam Wilson, reviewed all of those responses, and Geno Construction and Core Construction came out on top as our top two firms. So we did ask both of those firms to come tonight to do a quick 5-minute presentation focusing on why the CMGC delivery model is appropriate for Lakeland and why the board should select them as our construction manager partner. We also asked them to answer 4 questions and some leave behind materials for the board, just trying to be respectful of the fact this is our regular course of business meeting and didn't want to have very long presentations, but we asked them to answer in those leave behind materials is how do you establish and protect the guaranteed maximum price? How do you maintain a schedule compliance with academic calendar constraints? So we have a very short amount of time to get these projects done, so how do you work in a tight window like that? How do you communicate project risks and key decisions to the owner? And then if selected, what single risk do you believe is most likely on Lakeland's projects, and what actions would you take in the first 90 days to prevent impacts to the budget or the schedule? So you'll get a copy of that response from the firm tonight. I've asked them to do, like I said, a quick 5-minute presentation. There'll be time for some questions, and then I've given them permission to go ahead and leave after that, and we can contact them later. So at the board's discussion, I would like to bring Geno up to do their presentation.
Does anybody have any questions for beforehand?
Were they provided what our budgeted
Yes.
project costs
It
were?
was part of the information.
Okay. RFQ.
Yep.
And this is the same item that was brought, was that December?
Mm-hmm.
And then the board said no, but then,
It was in November, the board said
Oh,
no.
okay.
We brought it back in December, just to provide additional information. State statute really outlines that this is the appropriate model for the scope of the work that's being
Yeah.
done. Typically, in-house projects are less than $200,000. Anything above that scope, the state really wants you to go out and have a public works contractor really kind of manage those projects, just to make sure that we're
right,
dotting all our I's and crossing all our T's. So that's, again, why we asked the firms to kind of explain in their words what that means for them, and then why they would be a good fit for the district.
and you said 20 million, was it 18 and 2, or did,
So it
Where'd
was
the
a
other-
little over 19, and then they
Oh.
had some interest revenue because it took them a long time to get the funds dispersed. So that interest revenue on what the state had sat on pushed us over to the 20
Okay.
million mark.
okay,
So-
I wondered where that came from. All right, and then my other question is, where do the funds come from to pay, if we decide to do this, where do those funds come to pay them?
It is allowed out of the school modernization funds, and it was actually built into the budgeted line items for these projects. So we made sure when we were looking at this, the architect services and SCM was built into the line item budget that the board approves back in
Okay.
June.
All right, and I guess we can get in that, but I don't remember what that, for
It's a
the scope,
percentage.
what the
It's a
cost was for
percentage.
the contract management. Do you remember
It's
what that
it's
was?
just built in as part of it.
Oh, okay, so it was just thrown in as overall.
Yeah.
Does the state, or the state, I guess would be them, do they have a suggested percentage of the budget that we should spend no more or no
There's
less
kind
than
of an
this?
industry average. I don't think the state, as far as I can
It's
see,
the
the
first
state
time they've
doesn't.
given us the money, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure
Yeah.
what they are
So
expecting, you know?
really, I mean, it's, even from an audit perspective, it's reasonable and customary, right? So there is kind of a standard percentage in the industry that you see anywhere from 5 to 10%. Obviously, we'd like to be less than 10. But it's kind of an industry standard. So as long as we're reasonable, prudent, we've done our due diligence to go out to bid for it, we can prove out the steps that we took in our selection process. The state and our auditors that would be in compliance at that point.
Okay. All right, does anybody else have any questions before we hear the presentation?
No.
Did Michelle, did the chair have any questions before the presentation?
Yep, she does. She's doing it.
Yes, I'm just trying to understand yours, Jessica, that you're stating that we approved the funding for CMGC in the budget without consideration that we were even going with that model? Is that what I heard you say?
It's not that it's just built in as part of the line items. So when we worked with the architect to kind of flesh out what the project price would be, that was just part of that line item consideration. So it's not a specific line item in the budget, but if you look at plumbing, there is a little bit built into plumbing for contingency, architect services, and if we went with a CM model, the CM model's in there. And so that's where the recommendation tonight for the board, if they so choose, is if we do decide to go with it, that we would stay within the budget for the projects for each building, as outlined in the budget hearing packet.
The money was included in the budget, Michelle, in case we did choose to go with this model.
Okay, when this was brought up in November, the board said no, and I don't understand why we would have said no back in November if we thought that was the route we were going and we'd already budgeted for it. I guess what I'd really like to understand is within the funding that the board allocated for those projects, how much of it will actually be going to the CMGC as opposed to going to the projects that the board authorized?
And that, I believe it was built in at 7.5%, and that's something we get to negotiate. It's obviously that, how am I trying to say this? It was built in at that. The rate can vary, just like any contingency can vary. Obviously, we'd like to come in less than that if possible, but that's part of the negotiation process if we pick a firm tonight to determine where that rate lands.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, for the November board meeting, Trustee Jones did ask me at the end of the meeting. He had a lot of questions at it during that meeting, and that's why it was tabled in November. And I was asked to bring it back to the December board meeting. And at the December board meeting, I was given permission to go out to RFQ for this.
Right. So we didn't actually say no. We just tabled it to give Trustee Jones more time to get further information. And then when it was brought back, that's when we gave.
Well, no, I guess I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. In June, if we were given the information that we were going with the CMGC model and that we were putting money in for that route, why we had qualms in November, I mean, because I know that in December when we gave approval, it was specific to, we just need to get the bids in, we need to see what it's going to cost us, we need to be able to have all the facts before we head down this path.
Right, and that was an oversight on my part. Trying to explain this process, Tim is a lot better on the construction side than I am, so I'll just own that part. So I apologize that clarification wasn't provided earlier in this process.
Okay.
It was built in as a flexibility, a contingency, if that's the way the district wanted to go. So.
That was my only question.
Well stated. Thank you.
Any other questions before we turn over the floor? Okay.
Okay.
No,
So if I could have Jenno come up, it's Chris, right? Yeah. Okay. So I will give you the floor.
Do you want me to hand out the
Yeah,
lead
that would be
lines
great.
now? Okay.
No.
We do have it digitally too, but I can move it around.
Yeah, we don't do paper here. Sorry. It's your paper, so.
Well, I did ask specifically for you.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Are you, wait, Michelle, are you actually saying no?
Well, they're supposed to be handed in before the meeting, not at the meeting. That's my only thing.
That's my fault.
But if you all want them, then go for it.
I apologize, Chair Thompson. That was my direction, so I apologize for messing that up.
Yeah, I guess we should have had, and the time, I didn't realize we were going to have a live presentation either.
I'll be happy to scan it over to Trustee Thompson.
Got it?
We actually have a thumb drive with it on here
Perfect.
too, so.
I will take
there you
care of
go.
that. Thank you.
Yeah. And the information I'll be discussing isn't actually, it's different information that's on the lead behind this new information, so. It's okay, well, I'll get started. So my name is Chris English. I'm a project manager with Geno Construction. And I'm excited to be here today to talk a little bit about this CMGC process and a little bit about Geno. So I would be the primary point of contact for Geno on this project, from early planning, pre-construction, through estimating, and then through final closeout. So first, I'd like to address the question, why CMGC for this project, for the Lakeland Bond projects? So first, the CMGC process really provides something that other traditional delivery methods like design, bid, build, where you go out and you hard bid a project. It provides early collaboration with a general contractor that you just don't get on other delivery methods, which help for budget, for schedule. For some projects it doesn't make sense, but for complicated projects such as ones that we're talking about now, it absolutely is the right fit. It comes into play for design and budgeting. So as things are being budgeted and designed, and you don't get too far along in a design to where to make a correction and you're doing a redesign, that costs money and it costs schedule. So to have a contractor have local subcontractors on board to be able to look at drawings, and then ultimately all the subcontract packages end up going out to bid, and there's still the competitive bid process for all your subcontracts. So you still are not missing the competitive bid process even with the CMGC. It also provides a cost transparency, so everything is 100% open book. All the estimating is open book to the school district and the architects, which is a way it adds another level of collaboration and trust for the project. The CMGC also offers, when it comes to the actual construction itself, you have that going back to the collaborative nature of this. You have a contractor, you have superintendents on board to talk about, even though these projects are slated for summer, we know that the schools aren't closed for the summer, right? There's still a lot going on in summers in high schools, all the schools, sports and clubs. to where there's still going to be a phased safety piece of these projects, and to be able to have a contractor on board early, to have those discussions, talk with his principals, talk with the administrators at the actual individual schools to understand what the needs are, because some of these projects will be disruptive to the school, even though it'll be summertime, but that's just part of it. So, so that's really a lot of there's a lot of reasons for CMGC, but those are the couple that we could think of to present in 5 minutes. So our next question was why Gino Construction is the right fit for the Lakeland projects for CMGC. So we had 4 items we want to talk about. One is K-12 expertise, public works and services focused company. We're in our local presence here in North Idaho. And value, excuse me. So value, so our pre-construction process, starting from day 1 through until we sign a GMP, is pre-construction. So we really are built around delivering the highest value for every dollar, utilizing local subcontractors that we've worked with for years and years. Something that we take very seriously is that we understand that these funds are allocated for this project and dedicated resources, and we are committed to using every dollar with purpose and accountability. Second, the public works is, about, I don't know, over 90% of what we do is public works. Schools, police stations, fire departments. So we know the process, we know what the state requires, we know for compliance, keeping the risk low for the Lakeland School District when it comes to any sort of compliance needs for the state of Idaho. Extensive K-12 experience. So on that sheet that I handed out, there's actually a map showing all the schools we've worked on, either a new build, remodels. We've touched a lot of schools in North Idaho. It's really a core part of our business, and we're passionate about it. We love working in schools. And fourthly, we're a local firm. We're here in Coeur d'Alene, and we live here, we work here, we vote here. We're very committed to this area. Our project superintendent is slated to if we're awarded this project, he's sitting back there, his name's Gabe. So he lives in Rathdrum, he actually lives right across the road. He is very passionate about the Lakeland School District, so his kids went to school here, his grandkids go to school here. If you talk to him for a couple of minutes, you'll understand how committed he is to the Lakeland School District pretty quickly. And then we also have a good portion of our office here today supporting, so we brought some friends with me to support me. So they're here. So what that means for us, we feel like we're here, we're local. Our response times, if there's something that happens on the project, we're here, we're across the street. Gabe literally lives across the street. And beyond that, beyond the project, we feel like the local subcontractor base, we know them. We know everybody that's here in Coeur d'Alene, all the subcontractors. We have the relationships, and we also know that when the project's done, we're still here. For the facilities teams, we want to be here for the next projects. We want to be here to support your facilities. We want to be here for the long haul because we're not going anywhere. So we really feel like I feel like Gino Construction brings value, local knowledge, the experience, and the community commitment to be a part of this awesome project. And we're ever since we've heard about this project, we've been super excited to learn more about it, and we're just really thrilled to be able to have an opportunity to be part of the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any questions now, or do I?
No, I don't think we have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We're gonna do a quick switch. You want to grab?
Yeah.
It's one company. Can't be the other one's outside.
I'll call again.
I'll try not to.
No falling asleep either.
No, I can't be sleeping.
Is she coming now?
We hit him in the back.
That's legit.
is for Port Construction. And Cody from Port will be doing the presentation for you this evening.
Okay. Here you go. Thank you. Okay. I'll go ahead. Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity. We really appreciate just being able to submit, and standing in front of you guys today is really an honor. So we really appreciate it. I'll get to it. I know we only got 5 minutes, but I think the first question was why the CMGC delivery model? Why is that appropriate for Lakeland? And I think this is a great thing for Lakeland School District. CMGC is primarily what we work in, and what that allows for is us to really lock arms with the school district and design team and understand your big picture outcomes, and really for us to kind of roll our sleeves up and get to work on what are those big picture outcomes. But take, mechanical systems, for example, right? Let's look at those and let's understand, what is going to be the best fit for each school. Is it Daikin? Is it Train? We know that Daikin has a very big presence in Spokane, so if there is service that, you guys need, they're readily available. You're not flying someone in from Seattle. But it's why we love it is we get to do that homework up front and then present all that information to you and ultimately let you make the decision that's right for the district. So that's first and foremost. We get to competitively bid it with local subcontractors, so that we know where the market is, and we're giving you the best price, and it's open book, and you're invited to the bid opening, and we have coffee and donuts, and it's usually a great event. And through that transparent process is, once we get on site and we set that plan and we look at our procurement, we can then keep finding value in that. And what I guess I mean by that is through that submittal process, can we look at some different fixture packages that, hey, if we want to go with Lithonia, it's going to be 15 grand cheaper. Would you like to do that? Or do you want to go with what's specified? If you want the 15 grand, that's your money to decide, hey, we want to actually upgrade part of our playgrounds, or we want to add, maybe a couple loudspeakers in this room. But it opens up those options for us to keep kind of searching to make sure that every dollar of this fund is applied to ultimately give back to the students and the staff. And the last piece is that we get to give you a guaranteed maximum price. And that is a guaranteed maximum price, not a guaranteed minimum price. So that means no change orders. And across all of our schools that we build, we're generally, I can't think of any that we haven't given back money on. And that usually means, for us, we're meeting budget, we're meeting schedule, and we're returning, money ultimately for the staff and the students at the end. It seems to be a win-win. So that is just a few of the high points. I could talk about CMGC for a long time, and I'd love to, but I'll try to move on to the next question if you're okay with that, which would be why should the board select CORE as your CM? And I really like what you guys use, partner, in that, because we really feel that it is a partnership. And so we came up with 3 reasons that we really felt were important. And one is that, we've been building in Northern Idaho since 2019. We have a local presence. We have local trade partners that we use. And we've really gotten the ability to develop those relationships with them. So this is not a new area by any means for us. We get to give you a guaranteed maximum price. Again, I said it's a guaranteed maximum, not a minimum, and that means no change orders, and we get to track that throughout the construction process, and we get to kind of put the power in your hands of, here's where the dollars are falling. What would you like to do with this? What makes sense, for the district? And the last piece is that at CORE, we do schools, and we do municipal. We don't build apartments, we don't do strip malls, we don't do restaurants. We'd be the first ones to tell you we're not good at that. But K-12 is what we're good at. And making sure that on once we finish, over summer, there's no nails in the walkway, there's no trash for student parent pickup, making sure that signage is up for students and staff to get around, making sure that the rooms are at the proper temperature so that teachers aren't worried about that. Those are all the little intricacies that when you do schools over and over, you really pick up and you understand the environment that when those kids walk through those doors first day, they're ready to learn. So with that, I think I'm out of time probably. I might have went over on 5 minutes, but take any questions.
Anybody have any questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Again, we really appreciate the opportunity.
I do have one. Are you representing the state of Idaho, or is that?
No, I just like the sticker and
Okay.
felt that this was a really good spot for it, so.
I don't have anything against Idaho.
I hope not.
Washington, on the other hand.
Have a sour belly, huh?
Okay, thank you.
So with the conclusion of their presentations, we would like the board, our recommendation is for the board to let us know if there's a firm they would like to move forward with and allow us to negotiate within the budget for the project.
Does anybody have any discussion or any questions or?
Give me questions, Michelle.
I just, there's nothing, sorry. You're asking us to approve you choosing one of these CMGCs, I'm assuming based on the two that presented, without us understanding the financial impact it will have to the monies that we've allocated for our projects. Is that correct?
So the recommendation that was on the board materials was that we would like the board to select and approve one CMGC finalist and authorize the superintendent and chief finance officer to negotiate and execute a CMGC contract, including pre-construction services and a guaranteed maximum price within the budget that was provided to the board in June. So not going over the cost that was already provided with the budgeted projects.
Again, so you want us to approve without looking at the numbers, is that correct?
In order to move forward so that we can get the projects for the summer out to bid, yes.
Okay.
Staying within the budget that was provided and approved.
I understand that, Jessica, but my concern is without even knowing what either company is going to cost us, I don't have any understanding or idea of where money will be pulled from if we really choose one and we're going to have to short certain compartments in order to fund the CMGC.
Until we pick a firm, we would have to negotiate at that time. And so if the...
Except the last time we brought forward the CMCGs when we were doing the schools for the remodeling work, they came with dollars to let us know what it was going to cost.
Because this was a request for qualifications,
We just asked them for their qualifications, not for a proposal for them, from them, for what it will cost.
Okay, so the request then is for us to pick that one and to not have you come back to us with the cost because you're going to negotiate with them and that's all just going to be on your guys' shoulders?
if that is
That's the request?
That's the request, but I mean,
Okay.
we can bring it, you guys can select one, we can negotiate and bring the contract back. We're just on a tight timeline with this because we do need to get the projects out to bid for the summer. so that we can start sourcing materials so that we're able to get to work as soon as school is done. So we could definitely, at the board's persuasion, however you would like us to approach this, this is the method that the district believes is the best method for these projects that we're undertaking.
Okay.
Anything you want to say?
Yeah. Sorry. Tim Hague, Facilities Director. So with the CMGC model, the district is not out of control of the project. So the project would still be within the budget that was approved originally. The cost for the CM's already essentially built into the model. We give them, here's your maximum price. You have to build in your fees, the subs, the materials based on the amount of money that we're giving you. And then I'm still in control, well, the district is still in control of the projects as a whole, but managing the individual subs and the material purchases and the specifications for, say, the HVAC units or the type of windows that we buy or the type of doors that we buy, that's left up to the CMGC with our approval, but they go source that material, they go source the pricing and bring it back to us knowing they have a maximum budget they can't go over. But we still control the project, but I'm not the one trying to source all the materials and getting the bids and running the general contractors. They have their team run it, that's just the CM part of it. And then I still control the general contractors that are working on the projects.
Where's the negotiation come in?
With the price for the CM?
But it's all in that budget, right?
It is in the budget.
Isn't it already fixed?
It's not fixed because we could negotiate
We
up
can
or down.
negotiate their percentage.
Oh.
So we have a budget amount, we have a bucket that we've already allocated based on previous, contracts, things like that, for these 4 projects that we're working on.
Okay.
So then we'll sit down with the CM once we pick one, if that's the route that we go, and then they will take our specifications and go out to bid for everything else.
Keeping their costs in line with what we tell
Keeping
them.
their costs in line with our maximum budget, but their percentage that they add on, which tells us, how much they're actually getting paid, is the part that we negotiate with them, but it's still within the maximum budget. So they can't go over the dollar amount that we give them. So if their sub costs more, they have to take less. That's
Well, that
kind of
won't
how it
happen.
works.
What you get is you just get subpar material.
Well,
Is
no,
all-
we
is the
still
way
approve the
that happens.
material.
Well, my only concern with the whole thing is there again, we don't have a line item of what that was. What did we say we were gonna spend? What did we think it was gonna be? And I don't have any problem going and asking people, give us numbers on this. But I still don't know what the cost is. You keep saying we approved the budget, but that was, we're approaching a year ago.
Right, back in June.
Yeah, so
But this is all out of the modernization fund.
Correct.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
And the funds are authorized to be used in this purpose.
Right.
And you built in a contingency into those projects for some kind of management, is that correct? Some
Yes.
construction management?
Yes.
Right. So now you're going to go to them and you're going to negotiate whatever their percentage would be to manage the projects, is that correct?
Within our allowed budget that was approved, correct.
I don't think anybody has it, that's not where the problem is, nobody has a question on that. The thing is that we're being asked, I just feel uncomfortable because we're being asked to approve some number we approved nearly a year ago to go get this stuff done.
So,
And I don't, that's my only,
I understand your hesitation, absolutely. My apologies with the delay in getting this posted. It's really pushing up on a timeline. We have some major projects that we're trying to accomplish this summer. John Brown Elementary, Lakeland Middle School, Lakeland High School, the entrance and exit for Lakeland Middle School and Lakeland High School. Those are some massive projects that we're trying to accomplish in a very short window of time. With that said, I was trying to streamline the process. At the board's pleasure, we could have you guys pick one tonight within the time between now and the next board meeting, work on that, provide that detailed information to the board for then authorization at that time. If the board would just like to pick which firm they would like us to work with. My only ask is that if we're able to bring that to you at the February 4th meeting, that we're able to move forward at that time so that we can get them up and running, because we're already behind on a timeline.
Yeah, well, we're always in fire mode. The other thing is I think in the future, or maybe when we look at the other projects, that we actually have a workshop that is only that, or a meeting that is only, because the scope is just too big.
So the scope was, if you remember correctly, with the school modernization funds, we had to provide information to the state that looked at our buildings, and we had to prioritize the projects that would get those buildings back to good or perfect condition.
I understand all
so
that.
So that prioritization already took place, and the board signed off on that in December of 2024.
Right, but to look at all of it again, now that we're here to get ready, would have been nice to look at it all again and say, okay, this is where we're at, this is what we're doing, and now we're just like, well.
But I was asked at the June budget hearing to bring all of those projects and the budget so that I didn't have to continue to piecemeal them at each board meeting. So that was brought at the June meeting to provide that information and to get the authorization at that point. And so at that point, those priorities were identified.
No, I'm not talking priorities. That's fine. Anybody have any other conversation or questions or anything? And was there a reason that only two, because those are your guys' top two, were asked to come give a presentation?
Based on the weighting of the committee. So like, again, that was myself, the accounting specialist, our operations supervisor, and our director of facilities that reviewed all of those. We have a rubric that was posted with the RFQ, so they were reviewed against that rubric.
Which is standard practice.
Yeah.
We weren't provided the rubric.
I'd be happy to provide that and follow-up materials. My apologies for that oversight.
No, it sounded like you were saying that the rubric was included with the request, and I'm just letting you know we don't have the rubric, that's all.
Yeah, my apologies.
I would like to move to approve Gino as our CMGC for this set of projects.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I would like to, I guess, have a little discussion with an understanding why Gino, given, I mean, not holding on to the past, but I know that the exiting trustee Jones was very much against Gino construction.
Reading through their qualifications, I feel more comfortable.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor for Gino? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. 4 in favor, 1 opposed.
Can I seek clarification?
Sure.
Is that bringing back a negotiated item at the February 4th meeting, or is that permission to move forward within the budget as outlined, if that was approved?
Permission to move forward.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. We have LCSC MOU.
This is just kind of the same one that we've had and continue to
for
have.
student teachers
okay.
and, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, who drafted this one? Was it from LCSC?
It was, Michelle, as far as I know, yep.
Well, because I pulled up the one we approved in 2023 that expired in the fall of 2025. And while the content seems to be roughly the same, the layout is slightly different. So I was just curious who drafted it.
I can't tell you that. It was just
Okay.
it was sent to me. I apologize. I did not see the previous draft beforehand.
Any more discussion?
So this is a two-year spring 26 to spring 28. So it's okay.
Our prior one, it looked like it terminated in the fall. It was from fall of 23 to fall of 25. And so I'm guessing this one's just picking up in spring, that we currently don't have any interns because fall is over.
That's what it would look like. Well, the fall would have been covered in the previous.
Yeah.
This first semester of this year would have been covered in that, the previous contract. So this one would pick up for the spring. So I will move to approve as presented.
We have a motion to approve. Any second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And then we have the next item, which is ICCU MOU. Do we have any discussion on that MOU?
Did legal review this MOU?
Is there anybody here that can address that?
Jessica Grantham. As far as I know, legal has not reviewed the MOU. It's similar to a sponsorship agreement that we have with STCU for like the video boards, just similar, specific to the Timberlake High School field house. I definitely can have our legal review it
Before we sign.
Yeah, I would be in favor of that. I had the same note because the perpetuity, the exclusivity, I mean, it's very, very broad toward them and, you know, but, I mean, why couldn't we say, oh, this is our preferred, because what if we get more, or they go away, or, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, and definitely I think that legal should look at it.
I do know.
Just to be careful. You know.
Principal Everlyn is very concerned about making sure that we can move forward with this. So if we could bring it back or have approval contingent on legal review, that would be greatly appreciated. He would like to get this final donation in so that he can move forward with his project.
Sure. Can you bring it back to us the next meeting with any changes or?
I can bring it back with just a recommendation.
Whatever they say.
Overview if there is concerns from the attorney. Is that fair?
Madam Vice Chair, may I make a motion
Yes.
to approve contingent upon legal review?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second contingent upon legal review. So you're saying once legal reviews it, then it's okay to go forward?
Yes.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Okay, 3 in favor, 2 opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to the Kellogg SD contract. I had the same question about this one too.
That actually came from legal.
From our legal?
From our legal, yes. So I reached out specifically, this came up right before Christmas, so we were hoping to get it on that very first January meeting. We just didn't have a contract back from legal. This was 100% drafted by our legal and provided to Kellogg. At this point, I have not heard any comments from them, so we would like to proceed with getting this approved and in place.
Okay.
So you didn't receive any comments from legal? She just sent it back and didn't
No,
say
I apologize. From Kellogg School
Kellogg.
District, they didn't have any issues with it as far as I'm aware. The entire contract was drafted by our attorney.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Since we didn't have a boilerplate for this one, I asked Megan to please create one for me.
Yeah, okay. And do we know, being that is another department where we are spread more than thin, what the impact is going to be for us?
You're here.
That was my concern as well, is are we gonna have the ability and the time available to
The fact that it impacts one person, so.
Kelsey Badger, Director of Federal Programs. So this is a mentorship, so it's to not exceed 8 hours. And so I have spoken with the school psychologist. She's very, very willing to do this. If there is any like face-to-face time, I've talked to Kellogg. Kellogg will send the school psych here to meet. after hours. So no transfer of anything for our school psych. So she's very willing to do this.
Okay, so it came before us just basically for the psych. Is there gonna be more involvement in the same, that's just it?
Just
This
all
is one-
contracts come to the board for approval.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, do we have other people that would also fall underneath this contract in
No,
the
it's
same department?
solely-
It's literally a mentorship. The way that, and you could probably explain that
Yeah.
better than I could.
Well, I know what the mentorship is, but
Yeah.
the mentorship can be for teachers, can be for, I mean, a
This
lot of
one's
people can fall under
specific
that.
for school psych.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yep. So they have a new one, she needs to get her mentorship hours in.
Yeah.
We're just trying to accommodate that for
Sure.
them. We did
Okay.
have a clause built into this that if it ever got too much for our school psych, that we can cancel the agreement at that point in time. So if it does, we wanted to make sure we had the wiggle room, that if
Right.
it does become too burdensome, that we could make that adjustment.
right, right. Yeah,
And
because
it's 8
we're,
hours a week.
Up to.
okay. Any more discussion?
Yeah, so you're in your workload limit.
I don't have any.
Okay. No discussion, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
Move to approve the Kellogg contract.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Supplemental curriculum. Any discussion on the supplemental curriculum? I had some questions on it. And really, I think it was more about the process. Do you know how many people in the community are involved in review and feedback that aren't associated with the district in a professional manner? So just like community members, because we used to get so many comments and now we get 3 or 4, you know? And they all are pretty much repetitive, and I'm just so used to a big diverse feedback, and there's, I mean, almost nothing there. I appreciate the people that did it, but I was just curious, did we have that much of a dwindle, or?
Absolutely. Jake Massey, Assistant Superintendent. Really that, at this point, I don't know exactly. At the beginning of the school year, based on the process that I put into place, I was able to see based on what people submitted to me, are you a parent, are you a community member, are you a staff member? That was helpful so that we could see that everybody was fairly represented and all of those groups were coming to the table. Since we've changed it to a sign-up form, we're no longer keeping track of that information, and so at this point, it truly is anonymous, and I have no idea who submitted the 6 responses for feedback for this month.
Okay. How many people are we notifying?
We are notifying at this point, let me back up. So it is now on the district website as just a sign-up sheet. And so that is available for anyone. As soon as their sign-up comes in, it gets added to a spreadsheet that I keep. I check that every time I send it out. At this past month, I believe I sent it to 18 people who had signed up to be a part of that, and we received 6 responses.
Okay, all right. I was just curious, that was all. Anybody have any other questions for Jake or any discussion?
No.
No. This month we were pretty easy on you guys.
Yeah.
Just
I've seen that.
elementary
Some
books.
good book sets, yeah.
And great book sets in
Yeah,
there.
that was pretty easy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, if there's no more discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Jake.
Of course.
I'll move to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, on to policy. So it looks like we have searches and seizure policy. Looks like there's a little bit of language added. Any discussion?
This policy policy had come several months back, and it was a request to have legal review. Legal did review it. Legal's review language is in blue on the back, and her suggestions were reincorporated into the document, I believe.
Okay. Thank you. Any more discussion? Okay, so, the other guy he does have his on. So I will entertain a motion for the policy 3370, searches and seizure. A motion?
I'll move to approve policy 3370, searches and seizures. Seizure.
We have a motion. Any second to the motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. School-sponsored activities, policy 3410. Any discussion on that policy?
This again, it's a second read, and the blue language is from legal.
Okay, thank you for that information. Any discussion regarding policy 3410?
I do not, no.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I will move to approve as presented.
We have a motion. Any second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, back to, these are the forms associated with policy 3330. And they were initially, it was requested that they be removed. And that they should be more a part of the administrative handbook instead of part of the policy, but the violation of the board's policy 3330 is what would trigger one of these forms, and would also be the form that the board would have to weigh in on. So I guess there, I would,
Is that still policy committee? 3330?
The policy itself is.
Yeah.
Can I add some context to this
Sure.
conversation?
Yep.
So originally, these forms were brought back to the policy committee because of the amount of changes that administratively would need to be made given the individual circumstances. If a student finds themselves in trouble, those situations obviously vary so widely. We want to customize their either return to school plan or behavior plan accordingly, because that's the right thing to do. That's really the thread in which this conversation came up was, well, if we are being required to change this administratively based on the conditions that exist at the school level, then it probably should be in the purview of the administrators to just manage those documents altogether. I also want to clarify that just because these forms would be administrative, that would not exclude the board from conversations where a student would normally be referred to you. However, the vast majority of students who find their names on some of these documents do not come to the board anyway, because they are minor, short suspensions, short in-school suspensions, and things of that nature. Trustee Thompson, is that a fair summary of our conversation?
Yes, we got, there was a lot of hang up on the language, specific to the notice of temporary suspension. And I just want to remind the board that when this was brought to the board at the last meeting, what was uploaded was the old forms that we have online. And so we brought it back with the policy. I do not understand why the policy is still in the committee. That's, I'm a little concerned about that, because I don't know why we would approve and revise forms if we haven't gone ahead and approved the policy. But that being said, with respect to these forms, we did spend the lion's share of the meeting working on them. And then when Trustee Jones came, we had further conversation and felt that, you know, as with other forms, should these just be administrative, with allowing administrators to navigate them in the administrative handbook and not put them on the website. The biggest crux, though, was the notice of temporary suspension due to the language that was on the form before. So that's where there was kind of a big hang-up, was the prior language on the form. And if you look at the form with the modifications and corrections, we took a lot of language out.
And are you referring to the notice of temporary suspension form?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah, I did see that. Is there any more discussion? Yeah, I understand that, you know, every situation is different and everybody has to have their own, you know, their own write-up, or, right, because like not everybody's getting in trouble for the same thing, right? But we've always used these forms in the past, like they were more of like a notification. They weren't the form where this is what we did, this is what happened. That's not what these were, from what I remember. These were just like, this was the mailer. You know, you got suspended because you violated this policy. This was more the notification to the parent, guardian, whomever. And then from what we had done, and then any supporting or whatever admin or the principal, whomever was in charge, then that's where all their forms and papers and all that happened. But these were always the form that was sent, you know, to the parent or student saying, hey, you know, your child has been suspended, or whatever the violation, whatever they were, or the behavioral support plan. We did have a lot of talk about that in the past.
Trustee Grissom?
Yes.
Okay, I do know that part of the board's crux was the behavioral support plan, because there was no uniformity within the behavioral support plan, and the high schools, the middle schools, even the elementaries just all kind of did their own thing, and we would get, you know, some that looked good, some that were like missing parts, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. So a while back, we went and we said, no, we have to have a standard uniform support plan that can be modified by the principals for the circumstances that put it in that situation. But we were pushing for uniformity within the forms because some forms were missing significant, important language. Other forms were missing, you know, there was no consistency.
Right.
And so I know we ended up having the behavioral support plan come before the board because there was no consistency.
I would say if there's a legality to the notification and the document being sent to the parents and or student, well, student and parents, that we do approve it. I don't think that we should remove that particular one.
Yeah, I would have to agree that, I mean, I don't have any problem with the admin team coming up with whatever they need to, you know, support whatever they're doing, obviously. But we do, because ultimately it all falls back on the board anyways. The board is still, even though we're not checking the checkbox or whatever, we still are responsible for suspensions, for expulsions, for all those things. And saying that, being that it would be a violation of the board policy, and this is the form that's used for that notification, and then if you have to add some appendix or whatever to it. But I would tend to agree that if they need to be updated, update them, but that they do stay attached with the policy and on the website. That way people also feel like they have, you know, some kind of heads up, you know.
Can I clarify? So
Sure.
Do you mean to keep F3, the notice of temporary suspension, included, or do you mean to include all three of those forms?
All three of them. Yeah, to keep all three of them, and then, yeah, because that was the other thing, and I thought we had done that at one point. The written statement, I thought at one point, didn't we say that all of the students would be numbers on the forms, or like the student ID instead of names?
We did.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it on this one. Okay.
I know that the student ID is really specific to sexual harassment.
Right. Okay, is there any more?
Well, since the agenda item is the request to remove, I am going to move that we do not, or I'm going to move that we do not remove them from policy or from our website
We have a
at
motion?
this time.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay. All right, so we are down to discussion items. And let me turn my notes off now, as it takes up. IBB. Anybody have any, anybody have any discussion for the IBB document?
Vice Chair, I'm after something on this one. We have our PST meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
And we would like the board to kind of set some priorities to look at for the PST. The PST, the way it works is if there's any current issues with the current negotiated agreement, we're to address those. Those have been addressed. Now we're at a point where we're trying to move forward and prepare for IBB. And I think the PST team just wants a focus from the board in regards to, you know, I don't think we need to give us exact specifics, or if you want to, by all means, we'll take that. But if you can just kind of give us, hey, look, these are the areas that we really want you to research and be prepared to bring to IBB. Obviously, no decisions made, but you know, that's really what we're looking for the PST team.
Yeah. So
are the 5 board members of the LEA also the 5 board members, or not board members, are the 5 members of the LEA that are the PST people the same 5 board members that are part of the LEA? Like the negotiated agreement for IBB?
I can't speak on it because I haven't seen what their IBB team is. It might have been from last year. It might have been the case. But in the procedures that we wrote up, they get to choose, and that's the 5 they chose.
No, I understand that, because I'm trying to, I reviewed your IBB guidelines and procedures that you modified.
Yep. Well, there seemed to be some, I feel like I need to clarify that one paragraph in regards to, after we're finished with the current year negotiated agreement, that we would address issues for the future negotiated agreement. So I felt like, because you kept asking questions, and I just wanted to clarify.
Well, I think if the IBB team or the LEA, whomever, there's been plenty of things throughout the years put on the table, like anytime that there is a committee or team or whomever identified in the document, we need to know where that is, where do they find support for it, so that needs to be in the document. Anytime a policy is referenced, or saying that, this according to district policy. Well, what policy and where is it? So all those things need to be identified. There was a lot of language cleanup. I know that the board has wanted to make the negotiated agreement more what it's supposed to be, and then the things that are not. I think part of it was a conversation about stipends. Making that its own document or its own what have you.
Right.
So I know, that's the only thing I know of off the top of my head without.
So
we had asked to remove the coaching salary matrix and make that its own thing. We asked to pull the sick bank out of the negotiated agreement and make that governed by policy. There was a lot.
Yep. And I have that version that we sit down and spend till 10 o'clock rewriting. With your permission, I would like to present that to the PST team and also the noted extractions from the former, or the current, I should say, negotiated agreements, so we can start discussing those. Like, example, the coaching pay, that was pulled out. The sick bank was pulled out, and say, hey, look, these look to be our priorities that we set when we rewrote it back in August. Would that be acceptable to the board?
Well, I mean,
my caution with that is during that workshop, the board had a specific draft. You had your own draft. I mean, there were like 4 or 5 different drafts we were trying to work from. So I think the board should see what it is that you want to take charge with first before it says, yes, we agree.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I have one. It specifically says Michelle Thompson's copy, so by all means, I can share that with you. There's multiple. You're right. There's so many of them in that sense, but yeah. So with that said, obviously you guys would have to review that. You've already talked about the sick bank. You've also talked about removing the coaching salary out of the negotiated agreement. Could those be 2 areas that we could start working on? Would that be priorities?
I'd like to see our, go through our management rights as a board and go through that list and see what's been put in the negotiated agreement, but those are our management rights and they're in our policy. It's
so making sure the management rights in policy are in the negotiated agreement?
No, they're out of the negotiated
Right,
agreement.
and you're saying they need to be in?
No, they need to be out.
Oh, they need to
These
be
are our rights as a board.
Okay.
So anything extracurriculars in there, assignments,
Yep.
that kind of stuff, contract negotiation dates, direct employees, dismiss, promote, transfer, assign, and retain employees.
Okay.
That's our rights as a board. But
Right.
if you put them in the negotiated agreement, then they're no longer our rights.
Trustee Quimby's talking about assigning our rights over to the LEA. We'd like them back.
Right.
So, can you give me a page reference?
Yeah, it's 30,
It's policy.
1320.
Okay. And you're saying it, again, just clarification again, it is currently not in the negotiated
No,
agreement?
anything except where limited or restricted by the collective bargaining agreement, the board retains the rights to operate and manage its affairs in such areas but not limited to this list.
Okay.
So he wants to make sure that the negotiated agreement doesn't conflict with our rights as management as a board.
Okay. I got
Yes.
that. Thank you for the clarification.
Thanks.
So I have 3 items to work on, and I think those would be great to work on. So I'm going to work on the salary outside the negotiated agreement, the sick bank outside the negotiated agreement, and then finally the management rights. Is that correct?
Right.
All right, those are the 3. Thank you. That's all I need.
When you reference salary, you are talking about the coaching salary,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am. I apologize. Yes. Thank you, Chairman Thompson. Thank you for the clarification. Coaching salary.
Any more discussion on the IBB? Okay, the other is zone changes, 26-27 zone changes, so we're talking next school year. These poor people are always getting changed. Garwood and Twin Lakes.
How many parents have been involved with
Well,
this?
if you give me just a second, I'll tell a story, and then Jake is going to step up, and then we'll talk about a plan moving forward and involving parents in this. So one of the things that one of my first tasks that was given, not task, bit of information that was given to me in September. Assistant Superintendent Massey informed me, because he was Garwood's principal, that, hey, look, there was a lot of discussion about, because Garwood was at capacity when it comes to their facilities, he said that there was a lot of talk about transferring kids to possibly Twin Lakes because their capacity was lower. And I said, okay, so we formed a subcommittee to study the numbers and have the discussion. So we did that. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Massey, and he'll tell the story, and then we'll go into some other things. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Taylor. I won't take up too much time here. I want to make sure to preserve most of the time for the board to have discussion and ask questions. But I do just want to give a quick overview, and first I want to acknowledge that we, as much as we can, approach this conversation with sensitivity to those families and understanding the gravity of the fact that anytime we are talking about children moving schools, it's a challenging thing. And so we understand that absolutely. We are in the early stages of this conversation, and that's what this is just bringing the board up to speed. Mr. Taylor mentioned or reminded the board that I was at Garwood Elementary last year. That's true. I would clarify one thing in that I don't believe I brought this up this year because I was the principal at Garwood last year. I like to think that I've remained pretty objective about this, and I brought it up because I really legitimately believe that we are underutilizing one of our schools. In fact, I believe that we're underutilizing one of our best facilities in the district. The solution, as we see it, also happens to be that we could alleviate a lot of pressure in one of our most crowded schools. So, again, we want to move into this with sensitivity. We know that anytime families have to be relocated, it's a challenging thing, and yet we also are burdened with the responsibility of making sure that we are using our buildings to the greatest ability. If there are empty classrooms in a zone that is bordering where there are very packed classrooms, that means that with current staffing, we could have smaller class sizes, right? And that is a promise that we've made to our community, to always have that conversation. And so that's really what this is. Again, there's two factors at play here. You all are familiar with the fact that Garwood has a massive attendance zone, and within that massive attendance zone, there are many subdivisions slated to be built or continue to be built. Hayden North, Hayden Canyon, just to name a couple, with hundreds of homes that have not yet even been constructed, that are already approved. full disclosure, this is the first year that we actually have not seen Garwood Elementary's enrollment go up fairly significantly, right? So we can't predict the future. Maybe we actually have a little bit more time than what we think, but I would always err on the side of getting ahead of it. Garwood has projected growth. Adversely, the second side of this coin is that Twin Lakes is underutilized, under 80% of their functional capacity. They're using all of their spaces wisely, but they could be turned into more classroom spaces. Again, in contrast to Garwood, there is no growth projected in the Twin Lakes Elementary attendance zone, and so unless we take action involving a rezoning, we do not project that they will grow. In fact, we project that those kids will age out, and we might actually see that population decrease. Again, that's one of our nicest facilities. It's a highly qualified staff, a very successful school. We want to see them maximize the tools that they have, right? Olivia, would you mind opening the functional capacity spreadsheet? So one thing that I believe Mr. Taylor will touch on in a couple of minutes is some information just as a reassurance to the board that we have in fact looked at every school. I really want to reiterate that. This is not intended to be a hyper-focus on these two schools, but when we look at all of the boundaries and our functional capacity across the district, these are just two neighboring schools that right now present an opportunity to solve a problem. If it's okay if I walk away from the microphone here. Garwood Elementary is right here on this blue line at 97.12 of its functional capacity. Twin Lakes is right below it in white at just about 77%. The other two schools that are also neighboring schools where their percentages are they're prompting a similar conversation as Spirit Lake Elementary and Athol Elementary. Olivia, do you mind opening up the attendance zone sheet? That should be the next document.
Can you explain functional capacity and capacity, just for people that don't have that?
Oh, thank you.
Information.
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah. So regular capacity, if we talk about capacity in a building, that is straight up how many rooms are in that building and then how many kids are we willing to put in there.
It's design capacity is what they call it.
Design capacity, right? So whenever a building is first constructed, you know, the fire inspector might approve 30 kids in every single room in that building, right? The functional capacity for a building like Garwood might be something absurd. I'm going to say like 700, right? It might be very, very big. Functional capacity, those numbers are decided based on what spaces in that building are actually designed to be classrooms, and then a number that we chose to be reasonable for how many kids we believe can and should be in a class. So functional capacity is just like what's the maximum where a school can actually get through its normal operations and provide the quality of education that we have come to value in Lakeland.
It also takes into account, I apologize, it also takes into account if we repurpose a room away from a classroom. So if we're using a room as a resource room now instead of a full-on classroom, it does take that into account as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
So what we're looking at now is the zone elementary boundary map for the whole district. The one area that I just want to bring to everybody's attention is Garwood is down here in blue. Sorry, I'm standing in front of all of you guys. Is down here in blue. All of our growth really is to the south. That's what I want to highlight. Our growth is to the south. Garwood, even though it is not down in this Hayden Canyon or Hayden North area, it is one of our furthest southern schools. That just happens to be how our district is laid out, right? We can't help that, and we also can't move the building. Twin Lakes shares a pretty significant boundary with Garwood, which is exactly why we keep finding ourselves in this conversation about Garwood and Twin Lakes specifically. I say that because it really is not for lack of energy putting into looking at the attendance zones around the district. It is that every time we go back to this conversation, that seems to be the opportunity that presents itself. Yeah, that sounds feasible. Thank you. So with that, The committee that met, a subcommittee of the Long Range Facilities Planning Committee, came up with a few different options. Libby, do you mind going to option one? Thank you. I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, you're fine.
Proposal number one, the board might remember, is exactly what we talked about last year. We received a great amount of feedback from the community, and frankly, it was extremely wise feedback that it seems difficult and is difficult to understand that if a kid lives across the street from Garwood Elementary, that they would potentially be rezoned to another school. That's a tough pill to swallow. And so we worked with our transportation director and our new assistant transportation director to take a look at some other options using the software that they have access to. The second proposal that we came up with is essentially the same group, but leaving the walking zones whole. And so you'll see there that the brown is the current walk zone for Garwood Elementary. And so since we changed our busing practices this year and there's now a walk zone within 1.5 miles of the school, those kids would not need to be rezoned anyway. Like, the transportation would not be a factor. This option would move, I apologize, I should have brought these numbers with me.
I think it's 53 kids is what it was.
Thank you, yeah, just, I would say 55 to 60, just under 60 kids to Twin Lakes. Our goal in this is that we want to, since we don't see any projected growth at Twin Lakes Elementary, we want to get them as close to 95% functional capacity as possible, right? This chunk of students would get them to about 94, 93%. Okay, it would get Garwood down to about 85%, which would be much more reasonable for them to be able to handle that growth. The final proposal is, oh, this is going to be funny because this looks like the same exact picture. I think it is, actually. I apologize. It is the exact same group of kiddos, but also taking a look at the Deerfield neighborhood that is currently zoned to John Brown.
That was just recently moved from Twin Lakes. I'm not okay with that.
Hold, listen, hold.
You're correct.
Yes.
And again, it's
we've talked about it too.
Yeah, and Trustee Bain, that's one of the reasons why I keep saying this is a topic that we want to approach with a great deal of sensitivity and respect to these families. What I'm trying to communicate to the board right now is strictly percentages, and again, we kind of have to, we're trying to separate those two and then reconcile them whenever we feel like we have an option that's viable.
Because we were asked to be responsible with busing routes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
If he wasn't, I was going to, so.
Yeah, and so the Deerfield neighborhood, it would be a pretty small amount of kids. I think it's 12 students who are in there who would be impacted by this. That 12 students would actually help get us to our target functional capacity at Twin Lakes of 95%. Right now, our transportation situation with those Deerfield students just does not make a lot of sense. They really are outliers, and they don't really fit on any one route. We have a bus essentially making an extra trip to go and pick up those kids and take them to John Brown. Those 12 or so students would not really impact the functional capacity of John Brown. Again, they would help the functional capacity at Twin Lakes and kind of help make whole our target percentage there. And again, it makes a great deal of sense for transportation. I just want to say for the board, we understand that it's our responsibility as administrators. We owe it to you as well as our constituents or our patrons of the school district to be as responsible as we can with our buses and our classroom space. We as leaders and as people and as parents understand that this is a complicated conversation for these families. So, Mr. Taylor, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, with that said, thank you, Jack. You did a wonderful job. With that said, and be honest with you, Deerfield wasn't even on the map until transportation brought it up to us and said, hey, look, this makes a lot more sense. We're going that way anyway. Why wouldn't we pick them up? And again, it does increase our functional capacity when it comes to Twin Lakes. And so that's why we would include it. With that said, the plan would be, can you go to the timeline right quick, and I'll go back to the other schools. It should be in. Oh, there it is, you already have it up. Wow, you good. I promise I can't read it. It's too small. So our timeline is this, basically. We've already met, June 15th already came and went. Go ahead and go down. So our plan would be something like this, it's really neat. Our assistant transportation director can select those, you saw the dots, and it basically lists exactly those kids that would be impacted. What we would like to do is we'd like to invite those families to Twin Lakes for an open house for them to view the school, let Ms. Melton present to them and show them the advantages of the school. Obviously, like Mr. Massey said, it's our newest school, and it's one of our most, it's just a beautiful school in general. So, but at least and then we get their feedback, and from there, we would actually have 2 sessions. We have one on the 19th, one on the 24th. Tiffany says she's more than welcome any family that misses out. She would do a personal visit with them, and we would get their feedback in regards to that. With that, we would collect that information, and then we would come back to the board on March 1st to present our overall recommendation to the board and let you guys make the final decision.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion?
Well, what is our plan moving forward with respect to Timberlake Middle School at 110% enrollment versus functional capacity, and with Mountain View Alternative School at 143.52% enrollment versus functional capacity?
Well, and that's a great question, and I'll be honest with you, right now we were focused on the elementary levels, and the fact that this was brought to me before, that it was discussed, I felt like, let's focus on this issue. Plus, and Jake, do you have something else to add to this, obviously?
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, I apologize. I just wanted to add that, again, Trustee Thompson, you're absolutely right. And those schools are, worth a conversation for sure. They are over their functional capacity. We really are trying to focus on where we have solutions. And so again, the reason why this specific conversation is coming up right now is just because we recognize that not only is there a school over capacity, but we have a school right next to it that is under capacity. And we really want to protect best utilizing our resources there.
Right, but when we addressed this in 2024 and made the corrections, or adjustments, I guess is the more appropriate word, at that point, Twin Lakes was at maximum capacity. So, there is an ebb and flow, and I absolutely understand that, but we just did this for the 24-25 school year.
Yeah, you're right about that. And if we dig into the history of that conversation a little bit, the decision to move any families from Twin Lakes was extremely last minute. Frankly, it wasn't part of the plan.
Yep.
That decision was made by committee without even input from the principal at that school. It was a very last minute thing, and so I say that not out of any sort of defense, but just to recognize that I agree with you that had that not happened, we wouldn't really have this capacity issue at Twin Lakes, but we do today.
Well said. And as for the middle school, obviously, like Jake says, there's just at this point, well, first of all, we did not project the growth that we had in 6th grade. I don't think anyone projected that growth. One of our largest grade levels we've ever had. And again, I can't speak too much on the history because obviously I wasn't here. We've had a conversation about that growth, and at this point, that's just kind of where we're at because we do not have a fix for it, unless we're willing to, build a new middle school, which at this point, I don't even want to entertain that. So anyway.
One other thing I'd like to add is CFO Grantham just reminded me that the functional capacity calculation for Timberlake Middle School does not include their portables. And so they do have 2 more classrooms that the board provided to them as a solution. I forget the timing of that, but that is one.
Those were only sixth grade. That's only sixth grade classrooms is what those were for.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's not factored with I apologize, the functional capacity calculation doesn't factor in temporary classrooms. So it skews that presentation a little bit because that square footage is not calculated in to that functional capacity number. It's just how the calculation works. So I just wanted to make sure that was clarified.
All right. Do we have any other questions? Or?
Yeah, real quick. Is this report used for something else and we're just using it for this presentation as well? So why aren't we just adding that to that calculation?
We absolutely could.
Correct it, please. Thank you.
Any more questions or discussion?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right. Since it doesn't look like anybody, thank you very much for the input there, Jake. So we have some policies here for first read. I really want to get into as we're approaching 8 o'clock, into our executive session stuff too. So any discussion on the first read policies for the breathalyzer, the 3280 or any of that? None? Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to understand why biological sex was added to the student and equal education, non-discrimination, and sex equity policy number 3280.
The choice of biological sex was added for clarification. The reason why gender identity and sexual orientation was removed was because that was removed from the law, that language. So we took it out because it isn't supported by Idaho Code 675901.
Okay, and we don't work under the rules of Boy Scouts of America, so why is their legal reference included?
The way it was explained to me was that that has to be listed due to its impact in federal law.
Because it was at OFC, it was the Office of Civil Rights
Okay.
Determination. So it would be
Okay,
like a
it was
Supreme Court
like
kind of.
a precedence. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, I was asking that question, but that's how it was explained to me.
And has legal weighed in on this? Because
Did we send this policy to legal? No.
Yeah, it looks like it was on our original one also, that's out there on the website.
Okay.
The Boy Scouts. So I don't know where the policy came from that was modified, but it's not the one that was on the website. So I think that's probably part of the.
What, the 3280?
Yeah, it doesn't look the same, but maybe that's just, and it did reference the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, it was highlighted in yellow, so I didn't know if it was added or why that was highlighted and.
Okay. Any other discussion regarding the policies for first read? Okay, and then we had the teacher district expression policy, which is new. This came from Meade School District. I believe Trustee Quimby brought this up at the last meeting for a discussion item. Did you have anything to
No.
add, say, discussion?
Just some parents are still upset about what happened at the high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should look at doing something that, at least we're doing something, instead of sitting here and doing nothing.
So you're saying you.
I think it's a good idea
policy like this, or?
Yeah, have policy committee look at it and then adapt it to Lakeland. and then look at the law in Idaho and see what's there.
Okay. So I guess we can ask, he's requesting that policy committee take a look at and maybe come up with some kind of modification. I think, looking at some of the language, I think that there are some policies that we have that might have pieces of this, and then also there were a lot of changes in the last couple of years, mainly last year with parental rights, which include a lot of this. And then there's a few things this year that might, depending on what the legislative session ends up with, but. Okay, the next thing, are there any more discussion on that policy proposal?
No, I do think it would be good to have it for staff, not just like teachers or whatnot. I think it should be a district implemented policy for all.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Any more discussion on the? Okay, so the other thing we're looking at here is interview date for clerk.
When does it close?
I'm sorry, I've been up here a couple of times tonight and I haven't introduced myself. Brooke Cunningham, Director of HR. It closes whenever you guys ask me to close.
Okay, so it's open until filled.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, it's open until, right up, it's open until you guys schedule interviews, basically.
Okay.
So.
Should we keep it open again, because last time we kept losing people? We give them a job and then they wouldn't show up.
So I will say that we do have a large candidate pool. There are quite a few qualified applicants up there. So it's up to you guys as to what you want me to do with that. Tomorrow I can send you guys, I'm going to go through them again tomorrow. And I will send you a list of candidates that I would recommend that you guys interview. And also a list of those that probably you should probably aren't qualified for.
Yeah, I think we need to change some of our interview process too, because I think people come in with a preconceived idea of what a clerk does. Mm-hmm. And we also don't, in the interview process, there is no kind of, I mean, we talk to the person and we ask those canned questions, but there's no, there's no IQ test. There's no executive function test. There's no, I mean, there's nothing that would give us any idea.
We do have them, create notes off of a previous, or minutes off of a previous meeting. So we do have that, but you're right, there's other.
Yeah, and it's nothing that's done on site, so it's pretty easy for somebody to come in and, have already went through, whatever it was to help them generate the answers, or present the thing. Anyways, that was the only thing I was thinking of if we had.
One thing I would like to know is if we can bring the clerk of the board job description back. I do think that aside from experience under qualifications, it may be beneficial to at least hope for like an AA degree, or, I mean, even a bachelor's degree or something, to help people understand the importance of the position, I guess.
Yeah, we can look at it for sure. It
Okay.
is attached, the one that's attached to the agenda, I guess, is what's out there.
Right, it is.
Yep.
Well, and that's what's been posted for the posting, is
Right.
the
No,
current
I
one.
understand that. I do think though that we should review it. We can modify it. It doesn't necessarily have to impact this pool, but I think it is important to add, an academic component.
Mhm.
All right, so do we want to pick a date now to start?
I think we need to.
Okay,
Start interviews.
thank you. Anybody have any more questions for Director Cunningham?
I do not, thank
No.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Brooke.
Are there days of the week that do not work for people?
Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say Mondays and Fridays, but, I mean.
Well, we're already at the 21st of the month. See, what is this? Do we want to go next week, or do we want to look into February?
Let's see,
Like Tuesday or Thursday of next week,
28.
28th, or Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like for anybody else? The 28th is a Wednesday. It's a week from today.
What part of the day are you talking?
Usually
entire
it's
day?
the entire day.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't do that Wednesday. Unfortunately, I have a training that I'm giving. I can't
Okay.
cancel that.
Okay. Can you do?
Excuse me, Trustee Grissom.
Yes.
Can you guys keep in mind, remember, we do have to call candidates and
Yeah.
that type of thing. We need that time. And we also need time as far as like posting and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, I mean, at least I would say a week
Okay.
out would be appropriate. And then let's say if you schedule them, let's say a week from now or a week from whatever, I will close that posting that week prior. And then that'll give us time to call those candidates and then to get that scheduled. And then if you guys have some sort of assessment for them, for us to provide that assessment for them.
Okay.
Can we do Friday, February 6th?
For the interviews?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that actually. Shock. Yes.
Yeah, that Friday would probably be okay.
Did we?
So when do we want to decide who we will be interviewing? How are we going to decide that? Do we want to do it like we've done in the past?
Always done, or what we've done in the past.
Everybody submit a couple names to you
Yeah.
or
so
to Brooke to set up interviews for?
Yeah, I would say if Brooke has 8 that she would highly recommend, everybody should be reviewing what's come in and can either, choose her 8, or if there's additional ones, there would be consideration to put them in the list of 1 through 8. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
And because we have had more candidates that have submitted as of today, potentially there could be more candidates that I can forward to you guys as well.
Yep.
What time would you guys like to start?
Sunrise.
Well, I think it depends on how many
Yeah.
candidates we have. Because what I don't like us ending up doing is we book the entire day and then we have polls and then we have to juggle. And then, depending on how many we can actually get in on the interview panel, I say tentatively, we book the entire day, but then we hone it down once we figure out how many we're going to be actually interviewing.
Okay, to be determined.
Please.
So we'll say tentatively,
The 6th.
the 6th of February.
Yes.
And then we can have, Brooke can give us the information, and then we can look over those. And then you want to pick from the pool that Brooke gives us, or?
Or if we have any others that we really want to, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need to heed to her guidance, but I also think that we should be able to review all the applicants, and maybe we see a diamond in the rough or something.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I'm gonna block out this whole day, or I'll schedule something in there.
6th, huh?
And I mean, if Brooke sends us 10, then hey, we've got a pool of 10 to work with to give 10 recommendations. So if you can get your recommendations, I guess to me by Friday the 30th, Brooke, would that give you sufficient time?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, and then that'll give us a week, and then we can go from there. Okay, so does everybody have that February 6th, and Brooke will be in? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Then our dates to remember. Any input for future agenda items? I have suggestions going forward when we have presentations or whatever. Or, you know, a lot of this stuff that we did tonight ended up in the discussion area, but if we can put a projected time, like we had 2 5-minute presentations, and then if we had, you know, if they're going to be presentations, if we just had a time for, so we sort of have in our head about how long it's going to take, because I didn't expect any of these to be presentations, and I'm beyond my own timeline. So that would be my only thing, is if we know there's going to be presentations, number one, the presentation materials attached, because this really, the public really should be able to see it. I guess we can add it to it, being that it was given to us, but then we're modifying the agenda and how it actually came to us. So does the board want to do that? Attach the items to the agenda that was given to us from Core and Geno's.
Yes.
Yeah, we can either put it in there or we can add it to the minutes. I mean, it's part of what happened during the meeting, so rather than retroing it back in the agenda, just throw it on, add it to the minutes.
Yep, and then that way it's available for the public.
For public review.
Yeah.
Provide it both electronically.
Yeah.
Preferably, we don't get stuff during meetings that we didn't get prior to, because then they would have it in the agenda to begin with, so.
Alrighty, if there is nothing else for future agenda items, I will entertain a motion to enter into executive session per Idaho Code 742061B, Bravo D Delta.
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, roll call?
Trustee Bain.
Yes.
Trustee Broadbent.
Yes.
Trustee Quimby.
Yep.
Vice Chair Grissom.
Yes.
And, oh, sorry. Chair Thompson. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a couple minutes.
She's not in human form, so it's kind of hard to identify.
Okay, I gotta stop the camera. Oh my gosh, I'm rusty.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, hold on. I know.